What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Next Level Teaching. I'm your host, Jeremy Anderson, here with my super dope co-host, Miss Tori Rodriguez, a.k.a. T-Rod. What's good?
How are you, Jeremy?
Amazing. How you feeling?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited, to be honest.
Yeah.
We have another great next level teacher here with us, Dr. Danielle Hickerson.
Yes.
And
What's up, everybody?
Yeah, it's
and
going to be great.
I think it's going to be a great day today. I'm really excited for her story and to hear a little bit about what she's been doing and the things that she can teach us. Yeah.
We hit. Hey, y'all know, all of our viewers out here at our Next Level Teaching podcast, we want you to learn something new. We want you to laugh, and we want you to live your best life. And let me tell y'all something. With Dr. Hickerson, we about to learn a lot today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be really good. So let's go ahead and jump this thing off. First thing, I need y'all to do me a favor. Rate us. Show us some love, right? I need you to go to iTunes, Google Play, wherever you get it from, Spotify, and give us a rating.
Yeah.
But not just any rating, right?
Yeah, I mean, you guys, if you really like what you hear here and you feel like you're really learning something and you're getting that laugh in that you want, go ahead and, 5 stars never hurts, right?
Thank you. We're going to speak live. We thank you in advance for the 5-star rating.
Yeah, and I think that the most important part about the rating that people really know is the better rated you are, the higher you are up on that list in the search. And so we want people to be able to hear this message and hopefully learn and grow from it.
Absolutely. We're creating a community here. Yeah. And so we're trying to touch educators, not just all over the country. We got a global reach, y'all. Australia, South Africa, India, Europe. And so we want to connect with the world for sure.
So, Jeremy, talk to me about our person that we have here today. Sorry. But Dr. Danielle Hickerson, tell me who she is, because I think you know her a little bit better than I do.
And then you can read like the official super dope bougie stuff, right? But I'm going to talk about my friend here, Dr. Danielle Hickerson. So I've known Danielle for years. I've known her husband for so long, right? And we frequent the same church from time to time together. But what makes her so special is I reached out a year ago. Now, you all know, about 2 years ago, actually. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you all know we have our SEL, PBIS, Social Emotional Learning, Character Curriculum, Next Level Students. And when I came up with the first version of it, it went really well. But I had a lot of schools saying, Jeremy, we need more. Yeah. Like, we need one every grade level. And I was like, I don't have time. But I heard, like, the creator say, you don't have time, but you have a team.
Amen.
And so we were privileged to work with some of the brightest minds in the educational space. And Dr. Danielle Hickerson was one of the ones we brought on board. Matter of fact, it's right here, y'all. She's the contributing author. She's the one that spearheaded our 4th grade character curriculum book. And so I'll let you read her bio. Yeah. But she's what they would say an OG in the educational game. And there's a lot that we can learn from her today.
So Dr. Danielle Hickerson has been teaching and working in education for 24 years now.
That's correct.
And she's taught K through 7, bless her. That's quite a range.
Yep.
And she's currently an instructional specialist and an international consultant where she's able to host some professional learning opportunities for teachers all around the world, which I think is really amazing to see the gamut that you've kind of gone through and that you have been in the classroom, but then you're also able to work with teachers. So I'm excited to learn from you today, and we're excited to have you here with us.
Yes. And I am so happy to be here.
Nice. So we've got a series of questions, right?
Okay.
We about to interview you. All right. So let's just pull up some of the questions here. First off, you've been teaching for 24 years.
Yes.
Wow. So when did you first know that you were called? Because here with Next Level Teaching, we don't feel like this is a career.
Yeah.
This is a calling. You got to be a little called and a little crazy to do this work at a high level. When did you first know?
Absolutely. So at the rightful age of 8,
wow,
I knew that I wanted to be a teacher. I taught my brother and sister how to read and write. And so I taught the neighborhood. All the kids on the street came to my house for school.
Patience,
We
ma'am.
played school. Now, they didn't come back after recess, but I did get them for an hour or so. But
not 8th grade.
No.
At the age of 8. 3rd grade.
8 years old.
You were teaching your younger brother and sister how to read and write.
Yes.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's deep.
And, I had educators in my family, and they were inspirations for me as well. But it is truly a calling for me.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't see doing anything else.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So where does your heart lie in education, I think? I want to know a little bit, because you talk about how it is this calling, and I think that's so true. But I think as educators, there's something that really like pushes us, and there's something within us that really drives us to continue to come back. And so what is that for you?
For me, it is the greatest gift to see children succeed.
Wow.
And not only to get them from the age of 5, but even in 3rd, 4th grade, all kids can succeed. And it has always been my dream to make sure that children know that they are special, regardless of where they come from, what language they speak. And that is in my heart. And I just want every kid to know that they're important. They can be somebody.
Now, that is really good, right? And I have another question for you.
Okay.
Because, like, I was that student where I had teachers that love to see kids succeed. I had educators who love to see students like that light bulb light. But when I came into the classroom, right, like, I drove them crazy to where many of them was like, I didn't sign up for this. Either he got to go or I got to go. Like, can you tell me about, because most teachers have, like, that one kid that, like, straight drove them crazy. Like, we want to talk about some real stuff. Like, tell us about that one student that, like, straight drove you crazy.
Okay. Well, Jeremy, I've never had a student to drive me crazy. See, I would welcome you I would take you home with me, because you needed more than just a teacher. You needed a listener. You needed to know that you were loved.
Hold on. Now, I was the type of student, I was always getting into fights. I had a smart mouth. I was always a class clown. I literally had teachers start off the school year like with no gray hair, and by the end of the year, they were graying. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was the one they would give me Ritalin like every class period, as opposed to one pill in the morning and one in the evening.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me you would gravitate towards a
I
student
sure
like me?
would, Jeremy, because at the end of the day, you're a kid. You are a child, and I owe it to you to give you my best. And I think the secret and the key is for me to, I don't forget, I was a kid too. I have siblings too. And I don't take for granted that you come into the classroom and you don't wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to go give my teacher gray hairs.
Right.
You couldn't help it.
Right.
And so I had several kids like you in my classrooms, but they didn't drive me crazy. They ignited the fire within me.
Wow.
And so you were the type of child who would send me home to reflect more so than a child who didn't require all that. So instead of me going home and saying, I'm going to throw in a towel, I don't want to see Jeremy again, I can't wait to see Jeremy tomorrow, because I've got something else for Jeremy. I'm going to try something different with Jeremy.
So where does that come from?
Yeah.
Because it's safe to say that that's not normal.
Yeah.
Right? Like the average person,
I'll
like,
tell you that right here.
Right.
I am
Yeah.
one that, like, hearing you say that as a teacher, I'm like, what's the secret sauce? Tell me, how do I as an educator get there? Because I have a heart for those students and I want to continue, but there are times where I feel like I'm wrung dry, and I'm like, I feel like I've tried everything, and I feel like I try and sit down and listen, and sometimes they don't want to talk and let me in. And so how do you get there with them? How do you create those? Because I know it's got to come from relationships, right? How do you get there? How do you do that? How do you do it?
because when I'm doing professional development, I've had literally teachers like cry after hearing me speak and say, I was done. Like, this was my last year, but now I have enough to keep going. So, like, tell us about your source, like Tori is saying, because the average person is like, okay, they're not on, let me reflect. They're on, let me reflect on which wine I'm finna drink. You know what I'm saying? Let me reflect on if I'm gonna have 2 glasses or 3. So, like, what is it that makes you gravitate towards it when some is just like, I need to take a break?
You have to listen to children. Children have a voice.
Yeah.
And I've had my favorite Jeremy student, his name was Kevin. And I don't know I'm pretty sure Kevin he still remembers me to this day. Kevin wasn't even my student. Kevin used to come to my classroom because his teacher had enough. And most teachers do spend some time in another teacher's classroom. That's a timeout session.
Yeah.
Really, it's for the teacher. They say it's for the student, but it's really for the teacher.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Confessions of a teacher going on.
That's right. And so Kevin came to my classroom. He was so angry, and I would stop him at the door. And I was in a trailer classroom, and I would stop him at the door, and I would say, Kevin, you cannot come in here with that face. His lips would be all turned up, and he have face all messed up. I would say, Kevin, I don't want you coming in here with that face. And he would say, why? I was like, because that is not your face. I don't know who that is.
That's beautiful.
I don't want to see that face. I want to see your face. And so once he fixed his face, he would come in and sit down. But Kevin was so angry. And so he wouldn't talk. You said that most kids won't tell you. So they're going to talk at some point.
Yeah.
So I gave him a sheet of paper, and I said, I tell you what. If you don't want to talk to me in words, draw me a picture. And he's 8 years old at this point. This is 3rd grade.
Okay.
I said, draw me a picture. Let me go finish what I was doing with my students, and I'm going to come back to you. And so he would ball up the paper, throw it. I would just get another sheet, put it right in front of him calmly. You know, I don't yell at children. I don't scream at children.
Calmly. You didn't slam the paper on the desk? You didn't threaten them?
No, because something else was wrong with Kevin.
Right.
Yeah.
He didn't know. But I knew. I just needed to figure out what it was.
Yeah.
Well, long story short, come to find out, Kevin hadn't had breakfast that particular morning. He was hungry.
Wow.
And so my students, being who they were like, well, we have Pop-Tarts. And so I said, go grab
That
Kevin a
classroom lit.
Pop-Tart. That's right.
Yeah.
They were trained well. And they gave Kevin a Pop-Tart, and he ate his Pop-Tart. But Kevin had some problems at home. And an 8-year-old can't change that.
Amen.
But they get angry. And so I sat down beside him, and I read him a book, and he listened, and then we started talking, and I would listen to him, and we started having conversations to the point to where Kevin started acting up in his classroom every day
Just
so
he
he
come to
could
you.
come
Wow.
see me.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
But I listened, and I gave them the floor, and I let him know that he mattered. I don't care how old you are.
Yeah.
You matter, and you need to know you matter.
Wow.
And you needed to know you mattered.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Sometimes
so-
you feel like you don't.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's profound, and I want to stay here, and ask you, did he ever start to like be on a regular basis in your classroom? Did you ever have a dialogue with that teacher and say, hey, this is what's been working for me? Like, what was that like?
We did. She was, in her defense, a brand new teacher.
Okay.
And so that was her first experience with handling situations like that. Kevin did finish the year in my classroom. The principal just finally took him out and put him with me. And so he ended the year with me.
Yeah.
But I did reach out to the teacher, and she was willing to listen and learn.
That's good.
She was. And, hopefully in her next year, she didn't stay that next year, but hopefully she's had some Kevins that she was able to deal with as a
Right.
result of the first Kevin.
And I think that is so important as educators, that we are able to recognize when we're struggling with something, and recognize the teachers that are doing it right or making it work for them, and ask questions and figure out, okay, why is he acting out because he wants to come to you? Like why is he not doing that with me? Why? And so I think that that's important, especially as a first year teacher. Let's be honest. My first year was rough, coming from a Title I school and having a good handful of Kevins.
Right.
And I think that that's so important. And I think it's so important as seasoned teachers that we're able to also breathe life into those newer teachers and say, I understand that you're struggling. Let me see how I can help you. Let me talk you through some of these things.
And it's good that the principal was willing to say, hey, let's put him over here.
Yeah.
Because everything we do, it should be focused on the kid.
That's right.
Like what's best for the kid.
That's right.
Not our pride, not our ego.
That's
not
right.
what's going to be confusing or frustrating or inconveniencing, but what's going to be best for this child.
That's right.
To grow, to learn, to thrive. So I think that's beautiful that you were able to work with that teacher, and then you all saw, hey, it's best for me to take on Kevin because I've got years in the game, and I'm ready for a kid like that.
Yeah. And so I'm sure there are a handful of teachers that are listening right now thinking the same thing that I'm thinking right now. Where did you instructionally find the time for this? Because personally, there are times where I want to sit down and I want to have these conversations with my students. What was happening with the rest of your students while you were sitting with Kevin and reading him this book, right? Because there are times where we do want to sit down and have this one-on-one conversation with a child and get to know them better. But then what else is happening in your classroom? How are you continuing to manage the other 30 students in your classroom at the time in order to make sure that you can build these relationships?
That management starts on day one of school. You have to create a safe environment with your students. You have to lay down the rules immediately. And I always build a community of trust with my classroom. I build a safe environment to the point to where when Kevin walked through the door, the kids were like, shh, shh, be quiet, Kevin's here. Kevin needs her attention.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
I need you to unpack that some more and on how you got them there and how students can at that young of an age realize that someone else needs your attention and that one student's attention is more important right now than the rest of ours. And it doesn't mean that they're not important, but that one student right there needed that attention. How do you get them there?
And it's not hard.
Oof.
You just have to be consistent.
Okay.
And you have to talk to children. Children understand more than we give them credit for.
Yeah.
And one practice that I recommend that should be done in every classroom, grades K through 12, is read alouds. Reading aloud to children is so important because it develops listeners. You know, we hear all the time, you don't listen. We're not teaching them how to listen.
Wow.
We talk to them and they hear you, but they're not listening.
It's a difference.
Listening has to be taught. And I read aloud to them every day. And I chose my read alouds strategically in the beginning of the school year. I do read alouds on character development. I did read alouds on virtues, manners, things like that. I set the stage for the environment.
So the read alouds have a dual purpose.
They do.
I'm teaching you how to listen.
That's right.
But I'm also depositing some positive characteristics in your heart.
That's right. And so I would tell them stories about when I was a kid and things that I did. Kids love that because they need to hear that I am human too.
Yes, absolutely.
They see me as Superwoman and then I'm not Superwoman.
Right.
And they see most adults like that.
Yeah.
And I teach them that I'm not judging you. You know, I tell them I give you 110% every day, and if I can't, I don't show up. I have a sub. And they know that, and I tell them what I expect from them. And then last but not least, definitely, I teach them that we're all different. We all have different needs. So that way, when they see me with a group of students and they have a certain book, they don't say, well, why don't I have that book? Why? We're all different. So when I teach them up front that we all have different needs, and you know, the first time Kevin appeared to the classroom, all the kids were looking. They weren't doing their work. And when he left, I had to have a conversation with them.
Right.
And I had to tell them why he was there and what's going on. They understand. Kids understand more than we give them credit for. And I think sometimes we're so hush-hush. We want to keep it between the adults. But we can't have them meet our expectations if we don't teach them how to meet our expectations.
Ooh, that's a word right there, ma'am.
That is so good. This reminds me of a situation we had with my daughter at her school. So my daughter and her teacher are like super duper close. They like dressing and matching the same and stuff. I think it's cute. So one day Jewel comes home and says, Daddy, we got 2 new kids in our class and we're going to be our teacher's helper. I was like, how so? She was like, well, you know, we have really good behavior in our class.
Yes.
And those 2 kids were not doing good in their class. So they're going to come in our class and we're going to show them how to behave and we're going to be polite and we're going to be friends. And at first I was just like, you shouldn't even know about these kids' track record. But in a sense, I understand the importance of it.
Yeah.
That her teacher had to say, hey, class, we're going to adopt that culture. So one thing you all are going to hear often from the podcast is us talk about shifting the culture. We don't want to just talk about and interview next level teachers. We want to show you how to take your classroom and your school to the next level.
Yeah.
So let's talk about culture because I'm sure you noticed what I noticed, Tori. Before he came in the classroom, you said, okay, I need you to fix your face.
That's right.
I want to see your beautiful, I want to see your face that you came
That's right.
Not this face.
That's right.
I want to see your face.
That's
So
right.
you let him know there's a certain standard here.
Yes.
Don't even come here with the energy. I want to see your face. Like, let me, and then he got his face together.
He did.
And then he came in, and he wasn't still right away drawing. He brought up the paper.
That's right.
You were still poised. Like, talk about that, because some teachers would instantly bring a kid in, even though they have the face screwed up, and would probably take it personal if the kid brought up that paper. Oh, you're not going to do this in my class. So, like, let's talk about that for a little bit, because there was obviously a culture that you wanted to maintain, but you slowly integrated him into that culture.
And Jeremy, what you just said is key. You're not going to do that in my class. It was never just my class. It's never my class. It's our class.
So good.
And so that teaches them to take care of everything in the classroom. That includes each other.
I love
You know,
it.
so I tell them, I say, you know, when I get paid, I go out and buy crayons. I go out and buy markers for you all. Please take care of it. This is ours. This isn't mine, it's ours. And you will hear them say, don't do that. That's ours. You will hear them repeating the language that you use, but you have to teach that to them. They're not born that way. They don't come to us that way. You have to model that. You have to make sure that the bar is set high and they will reach that bar. So that's key. It's not my classroom. I can't do this by myself. And I tell them that. It's not a secret. We work together. We're a team.
So you haven't had any students that ever, like, broke you down, but did you ever go through a breaking point, like with the system in itself or just the weight of life? Like, have you ever had one of those moments where it might not have been, because I know of some teachers that be like, okay, these kids, I'm done. But sometimes it's not even the kids, it's just the weight of life. It might be systems in place, it might be the administration. Have you ever had some moments where you was just like, I can't do this at all?
Never.
Wow.
The reason why is because no person is going to keep me from doing what I love to do.
Dang.
Come on.
Dang.
No person.
Yeah.
So
you're not going to be distracted or
that's right.
deterred away from your purpose.
And let me be clear. I'm not going to say that there hasn't been administrators that weren't as supportive.
Right.
There were.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I'm in this to do what's best for kids.
Right.
I'm in this for children. So, you know, I say to teachers, if you don't get the support because you do need support, then choose another school. You know, go somewhere else. But it's not worth ending the career over. Just find someone else to work with. You know, I don't work for administrators. I work with them. And I need for you to work with me.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I think that that's something that I've always kind of heard is that honestly, like, administrators are supposed to be working more for us on how they can support us as teachers. And I think sometimes we don't necessarily feel that way. But I think that that's one of my favorite things that you said there was that we're here for the children.
That's it.
And so often, especially I feel like as education has kind of evolved recently, I feel like it has been more about test scores and more about doing what, you know, the school wants or the system wants or whatever. And it's not working for the kids. And so have you ever felt that pull between
performance?
Yeah, performance based off in comparison to like really doing what the kids needed.
I have not felt a pull from that. I don't make kids fear test. And if I feel like it makes them nervous, I don't even say the word. I just tell them, show me what you know.
Yeah.
This is about you displaying all of your hard work and showing everybody in the state of Georgia that you know this much.
Yeah.
I don't like to tell children that, you know, if you don't pass this test, you won't succeed, you won't excel, you won't go to the next grade. I don't do that. Even if that may be the case,
right.
That's one thing they don't need to know.
Right.
But I know that some parents do. And sometimes they hear it in the household, but I just tell the kids, you just display your best. I am proud of you regardless.
Oh, that's
it doesn't matter. I know what you know, so I need you to show everybody else what you know.
Yeah.
That's good.
And
that's good.
That to me is so important because I feel like there are definitely parents and the system that, and I think personally as a teacher, I tend to try and not put that weight on my students as well. And so I feel like I take on all that weight, which is so hard at times. But it sounds like you're really giving them like ownership of their hard work. I like how you said that. Just show me what you know and show the work that you've put in, all of this hard work that they've put in. And and letting them know that it is theirs. That ownership is so important for students, to know that they are succeeding and they are seen and known and loved despite what other people may see, because you may be that only person that lets them know that they are doing a good job.
Yep.
Because at home they may not feel like they're reaching the level that their parents are setting for them. So I love that.
And then they might come from homes where the parents don't even have no expectations. So it could be really two different extremes, where parents are putting really, really high expectations. On the bottom line, they're not concerned about their feelings, their heart, their emotions, what changes their bodies might be going through, especially around their middle school age. But then you have some parents that's like not even involved at all. They just kind of in survival mode. And so it's like it's important for you to be that constant balance between, saying the student and their hearts, like, and them realizing you're not just a test score. You're not just how you behave in my classroom. You're a person, and I care about you.
Right. And that's why I set goals with kids, that you have to set goals with children. I think you should set goals in life, period. But when I set goals with children, I sit them down and I show them where they are and where they should be. You'd be surprised what a difference that makes. And even if they don't pass the test, with flying colors, they made their goal. They reached their goal.
Are they improving?
And that is what's important, And I always give them time to reflect. Children need to learn how to reflect. You have to teach that. I just think with the social and emotional issues that we're dealing with today, some of that can be helped if we teach children how to reflect, so that they can come up with a way to get rid of some of the anger that they have inside. Talk about why they feel the way they feel. So I give them that.
Before they do that, we have to listen.
That's right.
To even know what they should even reflect
That's
on.
right.
I hope y'all taking notes. This is good.
Absolutely.
I know you might be driving on the way, but you might want to take a moment and write a few things down.
That's right.
So tell us. So most students I talk to, they like, I got that one teacher who won me over, right? And then most teachers I talk to, they say like, I got that one student, like that was my favorite, that one student that captured my heart. Tell us about that.
Oh, I have so many. I do.
So it's not like just one.
No, they all matter to me. The thing is, I saw myself in just about every child that has come through my classroom. I saw a part of me. I saw the child who had a mom on drugs. I've been there. I could see myself in the child who wanted their father to tuck them in at night. I've been there.
Wow.
So I saw myself in just about every child that I have laid hands on, and that made a difference. It did.
So good.
It truly did.
I love it. We got a few more questions for you before you.
Yeah. So I think as educators, we're always trying to continue that learning. And I know that you talked about how you do a lot of professional developments. But what's one place that you feel like you as an educator still are working on and still want to improve on in yourself?
I really would like to improve on really identifying with different cultures. I teach an eclectic group of children, and it would mean so much to me if I could just learn their culture, learn more about them, their families, what they do at home, what are their traditions. I feel like relationships are so important, and I do a very good job of building the relationship with the child, not so much with the family itself, but I think about how much closer I could be with those kids if I knew more about their cultures. And honestly, it's just not enough time in my life to learn about all of those cultures, but that's important to me, and if I could, I would figure out a way to do that.
But I think the fact that it's even a desire will move you to subconsciously at times inquire, ask certain questions, and the fact that you're even more intentional. I think that's good, because a lot of teachers, you ask them that question, the answer to the question is, I want to connect more with them, and the more I can connect with your culture, the more I can connect with you.
That's
and if
right.
I can reach you, I can even better teach you. I mean, you clearly, it's working, right? You've created a great culture in your classroom. But the fact that you want to go deeper within their internal culture. So it's like, okay, I have a culture here in my classroom.
Right.
But when you go home, there's a different culture.
It is.
And there's a desire to learn about that. That's good. Tell us something here. All right. So if you could change one thing in the educational system, if somebody dropped $1 billion on you or said we're about to put together the brightest minds to create a program, like what would be if you could change one main thing about the educational system today, what would it be?
I would create a universal homework policy.
Okay. Explain.
Talk to me about that because I think everyone's thought on homework is very different. So talk to me about what that would look like.
I would first of all take the word out. Let's not call it homework.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's call it practice.
Amen.
Let's call it what it is.
Yeah. So
it's practice. But it's necessary. And you have a lot of different states, a lot of different educational systems trying to do away with homework. It's a fight right now with homework. You have some who are saying they do need it, some who say they don't need it. Let's be honest, practice makes permanent.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Not perfect, but permanent.
No one's perfect.
Amen.
Yep.
But you think about all of the professions out there, none of them say they don't practice after hours.
Right.
They have to. Practice is a necessity.
Even teachers with professional development.
That's right. You have to. It's required. Would you want a doctor who didn't practice? Would you want an attorney who didn't go home and read up on what you need them to read up on?
They say we practice medicine.
That's right.
It's ongoing learning.
It's necessary. So I would create a universal homework practice policy where K through 5 had a certain amount of time they had to practice and certain requirements they needed to do, and that was it. So parents could choose to do above and beyond if wanted, but they can't do less than that. And then it would change as they get older. But I think it needs to be universal. It shouldn't be I come to this state and this is how much practice we do. I come to that state. Or even within the state, I go to this school and this is what they do. I go to that school and this is it's too much confusion. And I do believe a good amount of practice is healthy for all children, period.
And then you talk about going from school to school to school. You've got some students that's like, shoot, Miss Clark gives me this much homework. Mr. Robinson barely gives me any. And so there's a lot of inconsistencies there, which I can see how that presents challenges.
Especially in the middle grades when they're faced with more than one teacher at that point. And every teacher's subject, I know, is dear to their hearts. But you have to think, this is one child. They're going home. They have things at home they have to do.
They are not as enthused as you.
No, that's right. Not in every subject. And, I did my research on homework. And it was so funny because I came across one reading that said that a parent, this literally happened, a parent sent the child to school with laundry and wrote the teacher a note and said, he didn't finish this at home. He needs to finish this at school. Because the teacher always sent the work home that he didn't finish at school and said he needs to finish it at home. So she sent the laundry.
My.
But if you think about it, she had every right.
Yeah.
She was frustrated at that point.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah.
That's deep. So you've got a lot of wisdom, right? What advice would you give a first-year teacher? Like I'm sure you could probably write a whole book on how to survive year one in education. But what's the one thing that you would say to any first or second-year educator out there? What advice would you give them?
Actually, I would say 3 things.
Okay.
I would say to stay positive. That's number 1.
Yeah.
You have to stay positive. Number 2 would be to seek support. You can't do this by yourself.
No.
You seek support from the kids. You seek support from the teachers, the administrators, and the families. Don't try to go it alone. And the last thing I would say to first-year teachers is make sure you do what's best for kids. At the end of the day, that's what matters, is what's best for children. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
That's good. I love it. I love it. So, before we wrap it up, is there anything else that we should know about you, what you got going on in your world, your personal life, anything that's significant that you feel like has helped you, made things more challenging, anything cool or significant that we should know? Let us into your world a little bit.
Well, my world is challenging, to say the least, but I am raising a child with autism.
Okay.
He is 15 now.
Okay.
And he is doing wonderful things, but it wasn't always easy.
Okay.
And I know it's not going to be easy with him entering high school. It's going to be a challenge. Transitions are lethal for him.
Right.
But I will say that I wouldn't trade it for anything. He has been my pride, my joy. He has taught me so much, and so much that I do with him at home, I take back to the classroom, because at the end of the day, he's a kid.
Yeah.
Right.
And some of the things I do with him, I do for all kids now, and it works.
Wow.
You know, I did mention that I don't yell and scream at children. I can't yell and scream at him.
Right.
And one thing I've learned about children with autism is that they demand a certain type of
Yeah.
treatment.
Yeah.
Right.
And that treatment should be demanded by all children.
That's
They deserve it.
Yeah.
Children
'Cause
with autism,
all
they
kids
demand
have
it.
certain needs,
That's
things
right.
that they need. Yeah.
But all kids can't demand it like children with autism. And it's not that they are being ugly about it. That's just who they are.
Yeah.
And
they
it's
gonna
what
let
they
you
need.
know.
And they let you know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that has been one of my most challenging personal experiences, but it has helped me personally and professionally.
So it sounds like, did you see a shift? I mean, so it sounds like if you've been teaching for 24 years and you had him 15 years ago, that's about 9 years in the classroom. Would you say that that also prepared you for your son, and then vice versa?
Absolutely, because I told you I don't give up. I reflect, and once we were told he had autism, I reflected. I said, "Okay, let's do this. I got this. Wow. You know, I'm not gonna let it beat him or me." And so we work hard to get him through this life, and it has made a world of difference. But I have to do what's best for him. You know, so just like I did for my students.
That is so deep, because I just read an article about a family that's dealing with a lot of backlash because they found out that their son was going to have autism and they gave him up for adoption.
Wow.
And so that's heartbreaking to hear. I can't judge anybody, right?
Yeah.
But when you hear that,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like when that child gets older and realizes like, oh, you're not my mommy and daddy, you didn't want me. And so the fact that, again, we on next level, right? So when you say, I saw it, we found out, reflected, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
Like that's next level, right? And so we honor you for that,
Yeah.
because that's, and we believe that mindset, we believe that spirit, that energy can be contagious. And so I want to challenge, as we close, I want to challenge every single one of our listeners and viewers, those of you watching us online now on YouTube, or you're listening to the podcast, you know, wherever you listen to your podcast, we want to challenge you not to run from the adversity,
Yeah.
right? We want to challenge you to run towards it. We want to challenge you to listen more, right? These are the things that we're picking up from Dr. Hickerson here. We want to challenge you to listen more. Like, don't be so quick to act. Don't be so quick to judge. We want to challenge you to create that culture, right? We want to challenge you not to take it so personal. We want to challenge you to be poised in all that you do and really listen and reflect.
Reflection.
Most people listen to respond.
Oh.
Right? Most people listen. I had to learn that with my wife. My wife would be talking, and I'd be listening only because I wanted to respond. Then I grew up. When I became a man, I put away childish things, and I began to listen, to reflect, to really hear her heart. And I hear that's the same breakthroughs you're having with your children, is you're listening to reflect and then to apply to what's going to fit with their needs. Not what's going to make it comfortable for you, not what's going to make it easy, but in everything that we do, we're always focusing on our students in our classroom and how we can encourage them and make them better. Man, you're so dope. Thank you so much. We need to get you another next level teaching shirt too.
So I want to end this with something just fun and
Yes.
lighthearted, because I'm not going to lie, that is my personality.
Let's do it.
You know me.
Yeah,
So
let's do it.
we're going to do a quick little lightning round of some fun questions.
Okay.
So I'm going to start out.
Let me put up a timer. Let me put up a timer here. Let's put up a timer here.
How long
all
you got for me?
I'm going to do 30 seconds
Okay.
here. I'm going to do 30 seconds. Hold on. Let me put on 30 seconds. You know what? Let's do 60. I'll give you a whole minute.
Oh,
We'll
he's
give you a
being
whole
generous.
minute. All right. And the timer is starting now.
All right.
So one has to go. Cake or ice cream?
Ice cream.
Has to go.
Ice cream has to go.
That's deep.
Oh,
I
man.
want cake.
Okay.
She want her cake and eat it too.
No. One has to go. Ketchup or mayo?
Ketchup.
Okay. Oh, French fries. One has to go. Twitter or Instagram?
Instagram.
Wow.
Ma'am.
That's deep.
Ooh. One has to go. Prince or Michael Jackson?
Ooh. Ooh.
Prince.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm rocking with you there.
One has to go. Christmas or your birthday?
Christmas.
right. Or let's say this here, because if the birthday had to go, she had to go. The celebration of it.
Yeah.
Let's remember.
Yes, the celebration of
it's-
my birthday.
But it's Christmas.
Right.
All right, just a few more. What is your favorite 90s jam?
Salt and pepper, push it.
Oh,
Hey.
yeah.
I love it.
All right. What is your? Oh, that's
Oh,
all we got. Oh, I got
time.
cut off.
But that was
Sorry.
good. That was good.
That
That
was
good.
so good.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. What
has
a
been
blessing to have you on today. I feel
Yeah.
like I have been able to take away a lot of good things from this, and I'm really excited for this next school year to start up so I can
Yeah.
really implement some of this. And I think listening is the biggest thing that I really took away from this. So
Yeah.
thank you for this.
Oh,
Absolutely.
thank you for having me.
I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it so much.
Love-
And thank you guys for listening.
Yes.
We appreciate you guys hopping on.
Yep. Thank you for that 5-star review.
Yep.
Yep. Go in and top a few things there. And I dare you to take a screenshot of your iTunes or your Spotify and put it on your Instagram. We will follow you back.
Don't forget to
and
tag
we will
us.
Post it. We will post it. So tag us at One Next Level Teaching, and we look forward to seeing y'all real soon.
Thanks,
Peace.
guys. Bye.
Bye.